first episode of the Let's Do It Afraid podcast. We're going to be your hosts. My name is Mayra.
I'm Yvette. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet everyone. Today is just going to be like a very short and sweet kind of an episode. We really just want to discuss, why we chose the name for the podcast, kind of our vision moving forward, the kind of guests that you guys can expect to be on here, and how often we're going to record and things like that.
That's great.
Yeah. So the Let's Do It Afraid podcast, that name kind of came to me because I found myself in a place where fear had kind of overcame my life in a way that I felt really stuck. I just felt like I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I liked anymore. I didn't really even like who I was because I was in such a dark place. So I started going to therapy, and then I found that something that I've dealt a lot with and throughout my whole life is just like fear, and the way it's held me back. It's manifested itself in different ways, like insecurities and things like that. But the underlying theme always seemed to be fear. So it's kind of more for like me, I feel, or us, like we're doing this even though we're afraid. So that's kind of like the sentiment to it. We're scared. I mean, I'm scared. This is our first episode, but we're going to do it anyways.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can inspire other people to kind of do that as well.
I feel like a lot of people actually resonate with a lot of what we're talking about because even as a mom or as a entrepreneur, a lot of the times we do things like we're scared. I mean, you still have to take a leap of faith because at the end of the day, if you don't do it, you get stuck or you don't go anywhere. And I mean, as a mom, I feel like a lot of the times we get so lost into like, who are we? And your identity, like identity crisis sometimes. Like when people ask me like, oh, what do you do? Or how do you present yourself? I'm like, well, I'm a mom, I'm an entrepreneur, I work, I'm a wife, like a million things, right? But it's like, who am I at the end of the day? Like,
Yeah.
what do I bring to the table and how can I help people? So it's like, depending who I talk to is depending how my answer will be. And at the same time, like a lot of it, we have to do it afraid because like really inside, like we look like we're doing fine, but you're really questioning yourself in different things sometimes and people don't even know. Like
Yeah.
they can see you smiling, they can see you do so many things. Like a lot of people always ask me like, how do you have so many kids? How are you able to do all this? Like if I sit there and think about everything, I scare myself or I stress out. Like it's got to be done and somebody's got to do it. So that's
Yeah.
just technically how I do it, how I run my day. And I have my schedule and I still do things. Like if I sit there and think about it, I will scare myself. And sometimes I'm like, I don't even want to get out of bed. But I mean, we got to do it. So
Yeah.
it's got to be done.
I know. I think a lot of people that don't have kids, that's probably like the first question. They're like, how do you do everything? And you're like, well, I don't have another option.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
What's the other option? Like, just not get out of bed and not take care of my kids. Like, there is no other option. You just have to get up and you have to do it.
You brought me back to like when I had I think it was my third or my second, I don't know. I went to the store and it's like, well, my husband was working. My husband didn't have any time off. Like it was just the day I was in the hospital and that was it. He was back to work the next day. And then I had to go to do the grocery shopping. Like, yeah, recién parida or whatever. Like, aquí no hay cuarentena. Like everybody's working. There's no,
Oh, no,
it's
no,
hard.
here.
And the people that have it are very blessed because like there's no way I have no help. Like I'm not saying I don't have help, but my mom has to work. Everybody has to work here, and things go on. So it's like I take my kids with me, but where do you want me to leave them in the house by themselves? Like I can't afford a nanny.
Yeah.
And people are staring at me and they're like, "Why are you at the store with your 3 kids?" I'm like, "What?" I'm like, Where was I supposed to leave my kid?"
Yeah. No,
But
yeah, and I agree. I feel like so many people can resonate with this sentiment of fear kind of holding them back and maybe not allowing them to just live their true authentic life that they want for them, So that's kind of why I chose that name. I feel like a lot of people can relate to this topic. But at the end of the day, like we've talked about, it's going to be about so much more than just fear. Like we're not just going to sit here and talk about, oh, I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of that. Like we really want to give people tools and resources and just kind of help them to be the best version of themselves. Cause that's what I want. At the end of the day, I just want to be the best Mayra that I can be. Because if I'm the best Mayra, then I'm going to be the best mom. I'm going to be the best wife. I'm going to be the best, coworker, employee, friend, daughter. And I think that that's what we want at the end of the day. And I think I wanted to start this podcast not to like necessarily be like, oh, I have all the answers, but to really find people through the people that we're going to interview and just hearing their stories and being inspired by them, and then being like, damn, like I can do that too. Like if they can do it, I can do it, because we're not meant to live this life alone. Like, I don't think we're meant to be so isolated. And I know like you work from home, I work from home, and sometimes it can be really lonely and you do start feeling like really alone. And I think that that's kind of where like this sadness comes from too, is just like feeling really alone. So I just really want to build like this community. Like I told, like the slogan for our podcast, it's like overcoming our fears together.
Yeah.
And my brother was like, wow, like that makes me like feel good inside, like the slogan. And I was like, yeah, like that's what I want. I want people to come here and I want them to feel good. I want to leave people better than how we found them.
Feel
And I
like
think
that's very great. Yeah, that's very awesome. Like, because a lot of the times we feel like we can relate to things, but at the same time, it's like, what do you go home with? Like, you're related and that's it. But like, we're stuck in this negative energy where like, I want to be able to make an impression on you or you make an impression on me. And we all grow together, like uplifting community. I feel like a lot of that is lost in these days now. Like, everybody's just like, cada quien for themselves, and it's like no, wait, how do we come back? Like, this is why we're so isolated, because we're all in it for ourselves. No,
yeah,
like, forget about that mindset. Remember, like, for me, I feel like a lot of the times, like, I see things through my kids, like the way they learn things, and it's like, wait,
yeah,
I taught them that. That's what they're picking up. So it's like, if
yeah,
we can remember that we're all one community and we can all, like, yes, there's going to be good days, yes, there's going to be bad days, but if we can all like resonate, a lot of the stories that you and I have talked about, it's like, whoa, you've gone through that, I felt that, like, we're not alone.
yeah.
And it's like, if you can do better and you're doing better already, you're uplifting yourself, and that makes me feel like I can do the same.
Exactly. Yeah. I think I want it to feel, like I said, like a community, like we're all in this together. Because I don't want to live so isolated anymore. And I think we both have talked about that, how just we've been feeling really like lonely because we're doing a lot of these things alone. But if we can find a sense of community around us, and I think a lot of people need that. It's not just, you and
No.
I, then I think that we can leave people feeling hopeful and not so alone.
Yes, I agree with that. And it's like a community where you can come and talk to us about whatever you want. Like, even send us a message if there's anything. You can send us something some of you don't know who will hear it or who will hear you out or what story. Go ahead and send us a message wherever you can find us, or reach out to us, and we'll help in the best way possible. I mean, even if you hear somebody out that can help them, a whole bunch. You just never know.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, definitely. And we'll, at the end of the podcast, we'll definitely, share the socials and share the email for people that want to reach out and kind of share their stories, or I don't know, just want to talk to us about certain things. Like, we're definitely open to that. That's what we want. We want this to feel like it's a community. We don't want to just feel like me and Yvette are sitting here talking to you guys, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like we don't have all the answers. It would be great if we did, but we don't.
You know what I just realized? I didn't introduce myself.
Oh.
Oh, now that you mentioned my name, I was like, wait.
Oh my
So
gosh, you did it. I thought we did introduce ourselves, did we
no,
not?
I got so invested in what you were saying, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I'm like, wait, I don't think I introduced myself. So I'm Yvette, and I'm here to help Mayra with whatever she needs and be your co-host. So in any way that we can help you, we're here for all of you guys.
Yes. And we're we're doing this together. This is a group effort. And I'm just so happy to work with you, and I'm so excited to start this. I know we're gonna do great things, and I know it's gonna help us. I hope it helps other people, but for
Yeah.
sure I know it's gonna help
Of
us.
course. I feel like this is a lot like not venting, but I mean it's therapy, very therapeutic to talk to people and learn about their stories and motivate others. I feel like a lot of the motivational speakers I've heard before is like, this is what I kind of feel like I want out of the podcast. And like even talking to you sometimes it's like, okay, well, I'm not the only one going through all this, and I know it can be harder and
Mhm.
things can be a little different, but I mean, we can all relate to one another. And at the end of the day, as long as we can help the community and grow out of it, I feel like it's going to help us both and also help the community or other women that are going through all this. Not just
Yeah.
women, because I know guys go through things too.
Yeah.
And mental health matters for everyone. So it's
Yeah.
something that really sits with me all the time.
Yes. 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 And so I guess that kind of brings us into like what people can expect. Like we said, we do want to talk to people in our community. I mean, of course, we'd love to talk to anyone, but we got to start with the people that are around us and closest to us. So we want to talk to people in our community, local artists, singers, songwriters, dancers. We have hopefully maybe some influencers. There's a lot of influence around where we live, so maybe some influencers, a lot of entrepreneurs, um, and just friends, family that we think have a really good story to tell, people that inspire us, and we know that they're going to inspire other people, people that are doing hard things every day.
Yeah.
And that's like the people that we want to talk to.
I can't wait to learn about everybody's story. And I know a lot of people have gone through crazy stuff, and it's like, how are they doing so great now? You can't even tell. And it's like one thing happens to me and I get stuck in a rabbit hole, and it's like, wait, sometimes it's like before, like I always admire our parents, like, they did so
Mhm.
much to get here and to be here and to
Yeah.
give us what we have. And it's like, I don't see them going through a lot of mental health, but at the same time, like they don't talk about a lot of stuff, and
Yeah.
they they gatekeep a lot of stuff, and like it's like trauma, and it's like I didn't realize how much trauma carries on even when it's unspoken, or like how a pregnant woman can carry, and like that goes on to the baby, and the baby has no idea until it's like crazy how much things can get very far.
No, that's such a true thing. We definitely trauma moves from generation to generation,
Mhm.
and like I said, like even when you're pregnant, like I feel like the baby can sometimes carry all that anxiety and all that trauma.
Yeah.
I've definitely noticed it even with my kids. I don't know if you've noticed it with your kids, but like, certain pregnancies that maybe I felt more anxious than others.
Hmm.
And I kind of see the how that manifests in them.
Yeah. It's crazy, how like I didn't really think about it, but then I just like I remember with my first, my husband and I were not in the same country, so it was very hard. And it's like my other two kids were very blessed because my husband was here, but it's like I can tell the difference, and it's crazy.
Hmm. Yeah. And then we also had talked about how we do want to do maybe like a monthly check-in where we kind of sit down and do this. We check in with
Mhm.
each other. We talk about what we're learning, what classes we're taking. I mean, I know you take a lot of more classes than I do, but
Yeah.
what books we're reading, what music we're listening to, what shows we're watching, and even just bringing, like we said, resources that maybe we have from different, just local community, the resources that are in our community, and hopefully be able to help other people who might have those resources in their community that they can use as well.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I feel like besides our local community, even when it's like nationwide thing, like I know you have people that work in immigration field and things of that nature. Like, if we can give any kind of resources to anyone, I mean, I know we basically mainly talk in English, but there's people that that understand English or speak English and will listen to our podcast. Any kind of resources that we can give is great.
Yes. And then we do want this to be like a weekly show. I think we talked about that. We want it to be every week. We would be recording, and hopefully every week you guys would be listening to a new episode. We are going to be mostly, I think, on Apple and Spotify, so audio. I mean, I'm not opposed to doing to YouTube, but that's not really what we're going to focus on right now. That might be something else in the future, but definitely on Apple and Spotify and wherever you listen to podcasts, you can subscribe to the show.
Yes, and if there's anything they would like us to cover or any kind of topics or questions that they may have, go ahead and send it to us in our socials, and we will get back to you guys as soon as we can. And I can't wait for our weekly episodes. This is going to be great, and I can't wait for what's in store.
Yeah, and so the Instagram page is Let's Do It Afraid Podcast. And then you can also, I believe our email is the same as well, Let's Do It Afraid Podcast at gmail.com. But I did link it in the description of our Instagram page as well. So you guys can email us there. I believe Yvette has her, like your Instagram is attached to our Instagram page. But for me, I'm just going to be focusing on the Instagram page for the podcast.
That's great. So if you have any questions, go ahead and reach us out there. And then if there's anything else that we can help you with, go ahead and let us know. And we look forward to hearing from you guys and talking to you guys soon. I hope you guys enjoy the content and everything we have to share with you guys.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a
Bye.
good day.